first came to look at this site and we inherited an agricultural field, it was pretty impoverished in terms of soil quality. Restoring back to a more naturalistic habitat with chalk grassland had a few challenges associated with that. One of the main ones was the tunnel arisings. So the material that comes out of the Chiltern Tunnel South Portal is really destructured chalk material. So from a calcareous grassland perspective and our ultimate habitat creation aims, there's a slight conflict there because the chalk grassland, you really want to be quite freely draining. And so we started thinking up ideas to how we could mitigate that. One of the solutions that came up was in conversation with Cranfield University, and it was to implement a series of laboratory and field trials to really understand how the shortcake behaved in the field once we had soil profiles created at the top of that, and once we seeded and established vegetation on it.
We've been running a series of trials, first of all finding out about those different materials and their characteristics and how they're going to perform with things like drainage, for example, or erosion control, but most importantly how they're supporting vegetation. So first we're characterising the materials. Then what we have done is actually run some pilot trials where we've looked at different combinations of those different layers to see how they perform in terms of establishing and then maintaining calcareous grassland. We've had what we call some field concept trials which have looked at these different layers and how we've cultivated those to grow the vegetation that we desire. Now, field trials, the problem is that we don't have a lot of resolution of the information that we're gathering, which is why we've also set up in parallel what we call lysimeter trials. Frankly, these are just boxes, square boxes, but at a reasonable scale, spatial scale, where again we're testing these different profiles and we're seeing how the vegetation is growing. And we hope that that will inform HS2 as to what is the most optimal layering of those different materials that give us the calcareous grassland that we seek.
What we're seeing in these trials areas is that the areas where we've put the topsoil back, we're getting much more lush growth. So the area that you can see behind us is a planting site, and that has topsoil, and we have a seed mix down, and you can see that there's very lush growth, which is exactly what we're hoping we're going to see. Whereas some of the areas where we've got subsoil down for the calcareous grassland sites, we've got very, very slow establishment, very slow growth, which is exactly what we wanted to see for a calcareous grassland. So we're really pleased by the way this is coming on at the moment. It's progressing really well and we're getting a lot of the results that we were hoping for.